Welcome back. Lehigh Valley's number one podcast in the Lehigh Valley. We paid to be in a style magazine and they gave us an award. So with that being said, this is the Valley's best podcast in the area. Hands down. What if I was like that? Be awful. If you want to sponsor the show, that's how we keep the lights on. These are the ads for the show. People pay. We put it on. That's how I pay the bills. This isn't done for free. It's a job. If you'd like to support us, you'd like to get your business out there, you'd like to have more options on what you can do with a business, contact me. We're doing cool things over here. I can help you out. You need apparel. You want to push your show further. You need a commercial. I can help anything you need. Anything you need. I got you. Be a part of the family. Very Fast and Furious. I'll say it each week. Fast and Furious. We love it. neveragainstudio@gmail.com. Be a part of the family. crawlspacerepairs.com. 570-476-5866. Dennis Coes, we've had him on the podcast. He's a friend of the show, and I support all the things that Dennis is doing. He has 120 years of experience in crawl space and foundation repair. He also can do waterproofing and any basement repairs you need. It's basement, crawl space, and foundation repairs. He does a little bit of some other things too, and you can get all that information on crawlspacerepairs.com. It's 570-476-5866. If you got a leaky basement, you need something fixed with your crawl space, you just need anything done at all, Dennis can do it. He's a really good dude. I wouldn't recommend him unless he wasn't the best at doing it. So check him out. It's Dennis Coes at crawlspacerepairs.com. That's 570-476-5866. Basement repairs, foundation repairs, crawl space, all of your needs. Hit him up. fiveanddimeeaston.com. They have their website officially up. You can shop most of their stuff online. They also have Fucked. They have Fucked in the store. I think they're the only one allowed to sell Fucked out of their store. It's 484-544-4719. That's at Five and Dime Easton on social media. These guys are great. I mean, they're killing it. It's the best skate shop, in my opinion, in the area. They have a lot of cool stuff there. Both the owners are rad. I stop in when I can. They're open Monday through Friday, 11 to 7, Saturday, 10 to 7, and Sunday, 11 to 5. There is someone always there to help you out with your needs. You can check their inventory off the website. You can check out some videos they got on there, and they're doing some cool things. Their social media is awesome. They support a lot of local skaters in the area, and they're growing. I'm excited to be a part of them growing. I'm excited to help them out. They're helping me out. It's a good relationship, and I push Five and Dime Easton because they're the best skate shop in the area. Check them out. BTG Blasting. My man, Pat Cunningham, offering you pressure washing, disinfecting, acid washing, and rust removal. It is a high pressure washing business, bringing your stuff back to glory. He does anything from houses all the way to having him come into the studio. He comes down to the studio on a schedule and he disinfects the studio, and we are certifiably clean, and it just covers all the bases. So with the things that are going on now, you're going to need somebody like this. He's got a sticker out front. I am certifiably clean down here. He also offers free estimates on all your needs. He can do corporate and at home. You can reach him at 484-241-1711 and btgblasting@gmail.com. He just started this business and it is taking off. I'm super excited for him, and I'm super excited that he's a sponsor of the show. And you can check out BTG Blasting on social media for all of your pressure washing, disinfecting, acid wash, and rust removal needs. It's high pressure washing, bringing your stuff back to glory. He offers many things, and you need to check him out. Influencer, TikToker, entrepreneur, OnlyFanser. At this point, I'm just adding ERs. Show stalker, Gypsy Sister Kelly Lynn. She's sponsoring the show. And all you little boys who hit me up in my DMs, look at that, man. She's in a bikini. Go pay for it. Go pay for it. Go over to her Instagram. You want to know what Kelly's doing? Guys and girls, because girls, you can learn what she's doing. She's making a lot of money. You go over to @theGypsySister. You click on the link in her bio. After you look at all her pictures, a lot of good content. She's putting out content. She's an influencer. She's crushing TikTok. So you get into that Instagram, and then you click on it. And then you got your links. You got all your links now. You can see everything she's doing. Everything. She's doing merch. Go pick up a shirt or a pillow. You want to sleep next to her? That's what I do. I got 6 of them in my bed. TikToker. You want to see her dance a little bit? See her dance on the railroad? Go there. She's an entrepreneur, an influencer, a TikToker. We're doing a podcast together. She's got a webpage coming. Should have asked me to do it. It'd be done. And she's a counselor. Girls, you want to learn how to do what she's doing? Go check it out. All information is at Gypsy Sister on Instagram. Thank you for sponsoring the show. Thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you for finally taking the step towards OnlyFans. And you can go check it out, guys. Get out of my DMs and get into hers. Thank you, Kelly. 119. Never Again Radio. Welcome to Never Again Radio, my friend. How are you?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here. I'm super excited. Super excited. I feel like these podcasts keep getting better and better.
I love when people come down here and they're like, what the fuck? This thing's in this weird basement in this fucking town. It's fun. I love showing the space off to people who are like you're like, I'm really into art, and like anyone who gets what this looks like, it's awesome.
It's a gallery. When I came down, when I pulled up and parked, well, actually before that, I sent a video to my girl on the way down here. I'm like, definitely not in Philly anymore. When I was driving through like the fields, and I'm like,
it used to be worse. It's getting built up.
Right. So I was like, oh, I don't know where we are, but we're about to be here in 10 minutes. So I pull up and I'm like, oh, okay. So I see the open glass front and whatever. I was like, oh, this is like a building. Then you came out. We came down here and this is like an art gallery. Kitchen, everything is beautiful down here.
Thank you, man. The lobby's almost done. Like Harvey, the barbershop upstairs, they're the first guys who were like, yo, do whatever you want in the lobby. Like, because I was like, hey, I'll take over the lobby because it's a shared lobby. So, and they had the whole barbershop to get together, and it was right before COVID. So they were like, kind of like, hey, run free reign on that. So like the lobby's almost done, but like I was telling you about doing the pop-ups and stuff. It's like once the upstairs finished, like it'll be cool, like a bodega vibe, and have like trucks out front. And I want to put little tables and just have some cool food people up here. I don't expect everybody to, when people come up here, they're like, oh, this is legit. It was worth the drive, but to explain that to somebody through a text message or Instagram isn't the easiest thing to do.
Sure. So you just keep coming, keep having us come up here. We'll spread the word for you. It's beautiful in here. I'm so happy that you gave me the opportunity to come up here. I'm excited. I'm excited for the show. Talk a little bit about all things local, and yeah, that's it. We're here. We're ready.
I didn't know your story. I started following you through Local Stone. Was like, you got to check this guy out. He's always doing crazy food and stuff, and he's got a really cool page. So I started following you, and at first I was like, all right, is he doing food blogs and stuff? And then I was like, oh, this is cool, and he's doing his own clothing. And then when I asked you what the story was behind it, that's when I was like, oh, this is really cool. So like, I want to kind of get into first, how did you even get started before? Because you were doing shit before you even did Instagram.
Sure. So everything was started forming before I did Pancakes and Protein shakes. From a small town, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton area. It's actually kind of like this, right? You can say that
about an hour from here.
Sure, about an hour from here, but similar to this kind of small town vibe, right? Over here in Nazareth. I'm from a small town where everything's just a chain restaurants, chain shops, and so I didn't have like a good mental grasp on what was out there. So I eventually met what is my girlfriend now, Alyssa, in Penn State through 2 mutual best friends, and she went to Temple. So as we continued to talk, I was visiting Philly every single week. Go down to Philly, and then I'm randomly trying different restaurants, still not knowing anything about a restaurant scene or like on
crazy.
The local business train and whatnot, because that wasn't like in my blood. I didn't have local businesses where I was from. And so I'm visiting and trying a breakfast place here and trying lunch spots here, sandwich spots here. Weeks go on and on and on. And I'm like, wow, there's like a lot out here that's better than like a Longhorn Steakhouse.
Yeah.
Or like whatever was
Applebee's.
Right. Whatever was in my hometown, like going and getting French onion soup at TGI Fridays. Yeah. And I'm like, wow, there's like, this is it, So I was like, there's so much good food out here. And around that time in 2016, that's when a lot of things started going viral on Instagram, when I had my regular account, my personal Mike View account, which I just posted terrible quality pictures on, right? that's when I started seeing like the bagel store in Brooklyn with their rainbow bagels, Brownstone Pancake Factory with their crazy over the top milkshakes, Elm Street Diner. I'm like, wow. On top of the food that I'm trying in Philly, there's like food everywhere around me that I could travel to, right? So as I keep visiting Philly, I'd start to alternate that with New York trips. I go to New York trips. I'm like, wow, there's food all over the place. Going and getting like those freak items, the crazy bagels with cotton candy in them and milkshakes with this and that, because that was my day to cheat, because this all came from I came from like a small town, and I was extremely like dedicated to lifting and fitness and bodybuilding. So hence pancakes and protein shakes, but that's the protein shake part of it. So I would wait till Saturday or Sunday, depending on how long I was working or what days I was working. And then I would go out and have these cheat days all around now. Now my radius is all over. So not just to Temple, but to New York, to places in Jersey, this and that, right? And I'm like, wow, this is incredible. But it still wasn't fulfilling me. I didn't want to go around like the rest of these food pages that I saw and just take pictures of food and put them on Instagram. And along that time, as like a year went by, 2 years went by, we're in like 2017, the end of 2017 and 2018, losing motivation to like, I'm like, all right, it's the same restaurants and doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's hard, and I think people don't understand that, especially if you're not doing content all the time. It's hard to keep pushing, like keep posting the same shit over and over and over again, and you don't have a new canvas. And because if you look at it from the perspective of somebody who's actually watching your page, like sometimes I'll be like, man, like this is the same thing over and over again. Sure. And you're not getting into how can we make this better.
Sure. So that's when I started, it came out of nowhere, but as I was trying all these different spots, I was like, I need more out of this, right? There's something still missing that I'm not getting fulfillment from. And that's when I really decided I flipped the page. I made it from a personal page of Pancakes and Protein Shakes. And I said, I'm going all in. Everything I have is going to these local businesses and relationships. So we went from just dilly-dallying around for like fitness cheat days, right? Where the gyms that I would travel to would take me to like cheat day restaurants.
That's cool though.
And like the cheat day restaurants would eventually take me to different gyms. So my horizon was broadening, I guess the word is, maybe. But as that was happening, I was like, I need it more. So I started to turn on to the relationship aspect. And that's what felt right. That's what I felt I needed to do to get more out of it, to meet these people, to hear their stories. And what I really started focusing on was meeting the owners, meeting chefs, everything like that. And when that happened, everything really clicked. The doors opened to a lot of things that like what is happening today. But yeah, so Pancakes and Protein Shakes went from this fitness cheat day thing to me putting every single penny that I have going into local businesses to hear their stories, and really like getting to a level with all these places where if I need help or if I have a flat tire or something like that, they got my back, you know? So it's just, it's grown. Once I made that switch, it's grown, it's resonated with people. And then I was really able to start supporting the way that I felt was right, instead of doing it like selfishly, I guess, for like a fitness cheat day. And I don't know, it was just it was a sudden abrupt change where I realized like it just wasn't enough for me going to these restaurants and just eating, taking a picture. I was like, I need something deeper than that. So I dove into meeting these people and really making them like family. You'll hear me call everyone family, and that's really like, that's where it comes from. So we are able to do that, and everywhere we go, we try to become best friends with everyone, you know, and really put them on a platform that has grown organically. And that's it. We're happy with where it's going, how it's going with relationship building. And look at, we're an hour outside of Philly doing a podcast, and that's what this is about.
I liked once you started getting into the relationship building, and I think it's important to even touch on that, because, you know, you can go into somebody's restaurant and be like, oh, hey, here's the thing I ate, and then you tag it or whatever, and you can do whatever you want with that. But to actually get in and then start meeting the actual people behind it and the people cooking, and then it's like, you know, I've worked in restaurants for forever, so it's like when somebody comes in and they care that much about what you're doing, and they're kind of like, hey man, like we're putting your food out there, or you're just in general making it more than them just sharing a picture. It starts to be building relationships. And when you start networking and building relationships and it's real and it's not just based off of I came in to take some photos, it really starts changing your life where you start talking to people differently. Or this is how it was for me, where it's like when I started building relationships with people, it changed how I even interact with people on a daily basis. And it made me just a better person, appreciating what the hard work is that's going into the project.
I agree. And that's what it's about, right? It's knowing the story and all the work and effort and where everyone came from, right? And supporting that dream. My goal with this page is always to be the person that if I had a business that I would want around. So that's how I conducted myself with how I, like, quote unquote, promoted things, or how I spoke about people, or how I spoke to people. I wanted to be the person that I would want to have around if I had a business. So we'll go back to the story that we were talking about. Fast forward like another year and a half, we moved to Philly full time, back in Philly. So from 2014, 2015, 16, living in my hometown, moved to Philly 2018. And that's where things really took off. That's where I started diving into everything. It's not just restaurants, it's artists, it's clothing stores, anything local.
Yeah, I want to touch on that again, because the apparel, I didn't realize, I saw, like, because I started following and then I was like, oh, he's doing apparel. And then I was like, oh, he knows what he's doing with apparel. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've done apparel for years. So it's like, I was like, man, this dude's like really tackling a lot of stuff.
So the thing with apparel that I'm really happy how it went is especially now during COVID, right? We're able to, I just made a post about it today. We're able to promote the artist, show what they're capable of, and push causes, right? So probably 6 out of the last, we'll go back like 12 merch drops. At least half of them were dedicated to a cause, LGBTQ or whatever it may be, and we donate. But the merch is just me finding an artist who's capable of doing, like, creating my vision.
That's hard to do.
It is hard to do.
It's very
and for
hard to
someone
do.
with art around their whole studio, you get that this artist can't do X, Y, and Z. They could be the most talented thing, but if I need like a certain look or cartoons or lines or this or that, this artist can do this, but not that, or vice versa, whatever it may be. And no, I give all credit to the artists I've been able to work with. We just did a drop that released last night.
I saw it. I like it a lot.
With Non-Heinous, a little Simpson drop.
Yeah.
It's incredible. The ability to keep artists paid, no matter how big or small they are, right? We all have to do our part. So, like, we're not going to save the artists in restaurants, but like one of us, we're not going to be able to do that. But we show and promote and spread the word and everything, and everyone gets on and really rallies behind, just like they did with the restaurants in this page, which is why it grew. You know, everyone, I don't know if they felt how organic it was or what the situation may have been, but the merch is really starting to take off. I'm really happy about it. I
like that you pointed out about taking your idea and putting it on clothing, because I had a guy send me a new logo that I'm going to do for St. Patty's, and I sent it to a couple friends, and that's what I usually do first. And I'm like, what do you think? Any changes? And my one buddy's like, dude, that's awesome. And I was like, I started this doing clothing, and to be able to figure out how to take an idea, and then it's almost like getting tattooed, where it's very similar, but like you take your idea, your vision, and then able to take that and put it on clothing is such a creative feeling, and it's an outlet, and it's almost like I'm living through the artist, because I'm like there's not a better feeling when you go back and forth with an artist and everything's coming together. And I'm sure, like, when you're seeing like the mock-ups for the shirt and you're like, yes, this is the direction, like when it's done and then you get to present it to people, it's not, I don't feel as if I'm the artist, but I feel like I was like sitting along with them, where like to have that creative outlet was always such a blessing to me to be able to figure out. And there's people who can't envision something and get it onto a piece of paper or onto clothing. But like when I saw what you were doing with the clothing, I was like, oh, like he definitely, it wasn't just a simple like, hey, here's our logo. This is, what we got made. We print the same thing. I was like, he's doing different styles. He's taking different ideas and being able to put that out on a sweatshirt. That's got to be such a cool feeling. What was it like when you first started actually being able to release creativity and like that on your own through the page?
So it's as special as it was in 2019 as it is in 2021. In 2019, we released in July just the regular, what you said, pancakes with the period, the logo on the back, on nice shirts. Why did I do that? Because how I said, I wanted just something that was like casual gym beachwear. Okay, something that was comfortable. And then I was like inspired by the Got Milk shirt. That's where the pancake font comes from.
Yeah.
And that's where that all came from, as a black t-shirt with white lettering. It's Got Milk. And but going back to what you said, like, what is it like from the creative process is the most fun.
It's my favorite part.
The shirt that got made today was a picture from 2019. Well, that got released last night, was a picture of a Jenga block that said smoke crack worship Satan.
Yeah.
Right. So the pancake shirt today says eat pancakes, hail Satan, or whatever on the back.
But I saw that and I was like, man, that's so out of left field. But I'm like, I love that you're doing your own shit.
They come from little things that happen to me, or that or my friends are involved with, or something like that.
Yeah, that's what makes the clothing the best.
And so what you're saying is another thing that's special is like, I need these artists because I can't put my ideas onto paper, and I can't draw for anything. I'm not good with computers and whatnot. I'm not good with computers and whatnot. I'm infatuated with artistic side of things.
Yeah.
Chefs, artists, like any designer, anything like that. But from seeing and working with, which I make sure all my artists do one of one, whether it's painting, whether it's the merch, obviously, from the beginning, for me to be able to pick the artist and know that they're going to do exactly what I need, even if I can't portray it, speaking to them, they just know. Like,
it's awesome.
My logo, Nick Fasnack did Pancakes and Protein Shakes logo. One of the most beautiful things I ever saw. I ran into him at a fair in Manayunk, a street fair, randomly. I think I was hungover too, so I was just like wobbling around on this hot summer day in August, like in 2017. I walked by this guy. He's from Maryland. I see his booth, and I've had a vision for what I wanted Pancakes and Protein Shakes to be. I always wanted a logo, right? So it was like 2018, where I said before, where I wanted to make that switch and really dive in. Like, local business is everything. I walked by his booth, and I looked at Alyssa. I'm like, he's going to do my logo. And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, my logo. He's going to do it. So what I did, I went back to his booth. Didn't even talk to him. I'm like, yo, what's good? Can I have all your information? I bought a picture off the wall. He had a painted baby in a cow suit squirting chocolate milk into a milk glass. And he said that's him in his mind, because he loves chocolate milk, and it's just like his visual of like being a kid squirting all the chocolate into the chocolate milk. I was like, wow. I'm telling you right now, you're going to do my logo, right? And so it turns out that I gave him my vision, exactly what I wanted. He sent it back maybe in like 8 days from that night that I met him. And it was exactly everything I envisioned. That I didn't have any hands on. He just did. The creative process was easy. I said, this is exactly how I want it, and it came back already. One proof. That's it.
That's the best.
One
that's
thing.
The best feeling, when it's a home run right off the bat.
The creative process is so fun, and like what Non Heinous does, what Jimmy Scantron is doing right now for a Valentine's Day drop, it's like giving them the ideas, and they come back to you and they're like, how's this, how's that? I'm like, no, well, I'm thinking this and that. Like, to be able to just teamwork with someone who has that like power.
They're the best text messages.
the best. And then they send you the proofs and this, and they're always like that. Like, any creative will always be like this, right?
If I get it late night, it'll keep me up. I'm working on another project, and a friend of mine was like, yo, I got the mock-up of the website done. I was just ready to go to bed. I went from being dead tired, my adrenaline's through the roof. I'm walking down here going, yeah, because I got a new canvas to work on. And like, when you have like, that's where I have the moments where I'm like, oh, this is why you're doing this. You know, you want to help people, you want to do stuff, but those moments when I'm by myself and I'm like, it's just to have an idea, and then the more you do it, you get better at it. But I was through the roof. I couldn't go back to sleep. I was up till 3 a.m. But those late night texts, I used to get them all the time when I was real heavy into merch, and I'm getting back into it. But like, I remember going back and forth with Rizart, who did the Skull. He did like 90% of my t-shirts, and he'd be up late because they're usually night owls doing this stuff. And he'd be like, what do you think? And I'd be like, oh, here we go. It's fun, man.
They're always sending it like that, right? So any creative I ever worked out, they're like, so really, like, is it all right? What do you think? I'm like, what?
Yeah. And they never like it themselves.
I'm sitting here,
which
like,
is why they're artists.
Right. I'm sitting here slapping my hands and shit, like how you said, coming down, being like, yeah, right? And I'm like, this is it. Like, every time, like, it's kind of like a drug, I guess, right? So
yeah.
It's like that I don't know what endorphin boost or whatever, a rush, and like every time I get it, that's another driving factor. Granted, how we are able to help causes and help the artists. On top of that, there's like this factor of yes, like this is sick. Like, it just keeps the fire burning to do different things and have different outlets. I don't know.
Where did all that come from? I mean, because I know on my personal, like, kind of like, I was always frustrated and I couldn't create stuff. So it was always like, I wasn't into drawing. I couldn't do it. I just never had the patience. So it's like, sometimes I look at all this and I'm like, well, this is what the outcome of you trying to find a creative outlet. Like when you were a kid, were you into like skateboarding, or like, what was your creative drive when you were younger?
Creative drive. I didn't have like an artistic drive when I was younger. So like I rode like a BMX and played baseball year round. That's it.
Yeah.
As for like artistic,
when did you think you first started getting into like looking into being creative?
When I met Alyssa and started coming down to Philadelphia. So like, just to put a little bow tie on that, I started coming down here, started coming to Philly, right? Getting to these restaurants. And then when I moved down here and really dove into everything local, when I made that switch and said, I'm putting every penny I have into local business, I'm going to support it and promote it how I feel is right. And kind of combat the rest of the Instagram food or like that kind of shady business that's always looking for freebies and handouts. I'm going to do things my way. That's when like my creative juices came in, where I started finding clothing brands, like a certain local clothing brands and certain local restaurants and things like that. They gave me the creativity. They started getting the juices flowing and showed me what was out there. When I knew that that's what I wanted to do with my money, with my time and effort, then I was like, oh, well, what can I do myself instead of just following these different lanes, and I wanted to do something for myself.
I forgot what it's like being in a small town like this. And like, now that you're bringing that up, like, I remember the first time I started going into cities, and like, it's just, like, because they portray it in movies so well, where the people are like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, I remember, now that you're saying this, like the first time I went to Philly, and when I just got a bug in me. Like, I was so into city culture, and I was like, this is so different than the backwoods stuff back here, and like how I grew up. And like, I didn't grow up in a city, or, this is a town, but it's not, it's 3 blocks. So to go into the city like that, or even like when I would go into New York or stuff like that, it's like, it would just open up such creative, it just kind of like freed your mind when you walk into a city like that. So for you to go and move down there and then be in all that and then be starting something, that must have been a crazy rush of emotions when you first started this.
It's who you're surrounded by, right? It's your environment.
Absolutely.
So like, what created this? What was my creative outlet? To answer that again, is just like me putting myself in the correct setting and being open to different things. Being open to all these different businesses and things. That's what started the creative juices. I was like, I want to do this myself, because I always have good ideas, but was never able to materialize them.
It's hard. So, keep it on that too. It's hard. It's hard when you live in a town that doesn't have any opportunities for you to grow.
Sure.
Like when I started doing apparel, like I was getting stuff made out of Cali because no one around here was doing anything. And then it's like, so then I could see the frustrations of, you would almost have to move in order to get things going if you would want to get into something like that, because the small town, it's easier now because of like Instagram and social media and whatnot, but back in the day, it was really hard to get things going in order to a point that you could do the things that you would want to do without frustration.
Sure. Or even to know what's around you.
Yeah.
So that's important, right? I'm in Philly, surrounded by weapons, killers, like the best of the best. If I want to, this has nothing to do with Instagram, and this is for anyone.
Yeah.
If I want the best food, we had the best. I'm just going to keep relating it to that. But if we want the best food, it's at our fingertips. I'll walk 1 block and go get the best, whatever it may be, sandwich. We get the best artists, great music scene, great clothing scene. I went from having no weapons, which I didn't have this drive and passion for local business. Like I said, in my hometown, I wasn't surrounded by local business.
You got Arby's.
Right. I wasn't surrounded by this stuff. And as I got exposed more and more to it, that's where all this came from, So I don't know. It's just the way that this all happened and grew on itself and organically and whatnot. I'm just happy. I'm just happy it's going the way that it's going. I don't know. I get lost for words every time I start talking about it because it's just like this roller coaster.
Yeah. And when you're not done with a project, it's also hard. Like when people are like, so what are you doing with all that? And I'm telling them what I want to be doing in 5 years, but they want the explanation for
Right now.
And then you just sound confused. And I'm like, I don't want to talk about it.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't know. It's, everyone's like, so what's next? What's next? I didn't even know there was a what's now for this.
Yeah.
You know, this was a gym fitness thing that turned into like me putting everything I have of my existence into local business. I never saw that coming. I don't know what's next. I don't know what's 5 years from now. And I don't really have a plan like that. The plan has always been to just, and I shouldn't say always, when I came to Philly and I committed to this, and when I said this is what this is going to be, the plan since then has been just to help people and bring awareness to supporting everything local.
Are you a big person when you envision things? Like how I work is like, I can't explain to you where, like I was trying to explain to you about how the next level of this whole thing's going to be where I want it to be. But that's because I can picture it in my head and then I go towards that goal in my head. Is that how you work towards kind of, you know, when someone says, like, I knew exactly what you're talking about when you're like, I can't tell you what's down the road, but do you envision where you want to be and then you kind of just have that focus in your head and then you just, when you have opportunities and moves to make, you move them to go towards that?
Right. I would more so describe it for me personally as something, it's like a feeling and not a vision. Maybe then someone said, oh, that's your vision. It's what you're feeling. I don't know what it's going to look like, where it's going to be, what it's going to happen. But what makes me happy and what fulfills me is helping others. That's what this page is. It has completely morphed into going to gyms. That's the last time I'll mention it, I promise.
No.
And to helping others. And others, whether it be restaurants, clothing, artists, anything local, that anyone who would need quote unquote help. I don't have a vision. I just know that that's what makes me happy, and I like to keep doing things that make me happy, and that's where I get the most fulfillment from. If I had to put it on paper right now, it keeps growing, and I'm happy.
Yeah,
that's really. I don't really have like, because I have like a full-time job, you know, so like, if this grew in some way where it was able to like replace that, sure. But I feel like you need a written down plan to try to like monetize that or whatever. But like I said, this isn't about monetization. This is just about supporting and promoting and just having fun with it. You know, it turned into something that wasn't fun. That was just like silly. I was tired of eating waffles with ice cream on it and like taking a picture of it. And that's it. It turned into this family oriented thing that it is today. And I'm able to reach out and reach a lot of people now compared to what it was. And I'm just about making differences. I don't know what.
That's awesome.
It's like, it's a feeling, how we said, it's a feeling that I have that I know I want in the future, but it's not like, I don't have a vision for what Pancakes and Protein Shakes is. Keep having fun, stay happy, keep helping people. That's it.
Who was the first person that you actually helped where you saw it made a difference? And then that was kind of like the bug. You know, is that when the bug that you got into helping people, or when did you first realize that you can actually help people through the page?
So I always denied what the page did for people, kind of like, I guess, what an artist was doing to me.
Yeah, I do it a lot.
Sure, they're like, nah, that's not that good or whatever. I didn't know it was helping businesses or raising awareness and whatnot until I began in DMs all the time. I'm getting 30 DMs a day, you know, people going to different places or people I don't even talk to just telling me, you know, hey, going to this pizza place this weekend, saw it on your page like 2 years ago, right? Those things.
That's gotta be fun though.
But no, really, when it really started popping was just last year, pre-COVID, right? It started off with where I realized how much pull I had. Philadelphia Brewing Company had their tip jar stolen. They estimate like $60 or whatever. And point is, someone stole their tip jar. Shitty move.
Yeah.
And their tip jars for Philadelphia Brewing Company go to PSPCA. It's to the animals at PSPCA. And so we're all about adopt, don't shop, and rescue and this and that. So that was important. So we Venmo their stuff, whatever, do our little part, right? Alyssa does it, I do it. That's great. I put it on the story. I'm like, yo, I'm going to do a little social experiment. I was like, these people just got their shit stolen. It's on video. Here's a video, like someone jacking a whole jar right off the counter as like soon as the person turns away. You know, really like dirty, shady shit. And I was like, let's see how much money we could raise right now for PSPCA. For Philadelphia Brewing Company tip jar. I'm like, label it Philadelphia Brewing Company tip jar, or something along those lines, and I want to see it grow. And like within 2.5 hours, it's already at like $1,600. I was like,
That's
yo,
awesome.
I was like, that's sick, right? And all people that I could follow and track, because I told them to rate it a certain way. Like, not that it matters to anyone else, but I just wanted to see if these people who follow are really gonna put their money where the mouth is, and really latch on to things that we like. So then once I realized that, I don't want to call it power. Like, I realized that there is that kind of pull money wise with the page. I was like, we're going to start launching all this merch to go to different various organizations. And we were able to raise money for so many things. The Evo Lower House with zip off pants, the hemp hats. We sold all those hemp hats and donated them. LGBTQ, I said we did a lot to the Trevor Project. There's a lot. The list goes on. 6 drops that were dedicated. All different things that don't matter money wise to promote on this, but it was fulfilling. And that's when I realized, like, all throughout 2019, like I said, we had 6 drops that donated directly, all proceeds too. And that's when I realized, like, this has the ability to help people in the now, and not just oh, that's a good reference, oh, that's a good recommendation, that kind of thing. So just this past year, I really admitted to myself, like, yeah, this is it. This really has some influence. I hate that word, but I'm like, this page has some serious influence.
No, I mean, that's great. Because I didn't know, I saw that you were donating and doing stuff, and doing stuff with the animals and whatnot. And then I was just like, oh, he's donating every single merch drop to a different charity. What's that like, to be able to help that many different people out and then be able to just keep growing? Like, because now you could take your idea and then you could take it, formulate it, and be creative. But at the same time, you're giving all the proceeds to somebody who needs it as well. I mean, what a very unselfish thing to do. And to have the following that you do and have that influence, you're doing it in such an unselfish manner.
So the thing with that is, like I was mentioning, like the 6 out of 12 drops, not every drop did go to a charity. And that's a lot of questions that I get. They're like, what's this going towards? What's this going towards? Well, right now, I haven't even been working. I've been laid off for a little bit. Yeah. And I'm like, this is going right to the artist. The artist charges their rate, whatever they will.
A lot of people don't understand what apparel is. There's so many. It's expensive to get it going.
Sure. I did tagless this last drop and put my logo where the neck is instead of a tag with the size. Yeah. And that's like an extra $3 a shirt. Do that by however many, Yes. And so to answer your question, it's not anything. I don't like rally around that, because that's my little part back.
Yeah.
And that's what this page is about, doing your little part back. If I can get 15,000 people to be like, oh, damn, he's doing this, I need to do this. That's what I get. That's what I get out of this. People like bringing awareness to these different things that people may want to help out with. I never, Alyssa, when I say I mean her as well, never rally around like, oh my God, we just helped all these people. We did that. We go on mission trips in Guatemala and sleep in something that looks like this. Yeah. Like that. We do, you mentioned selfless things all the time. But that's not something we sit around and gloat about. It's you just do it and keep moving, and you do it again and do it again. I told you that's where we get our fulfillment from, helping others.
Yeah, so was your girlfriend a big part in kind of turning that switch on?
Yeah,
because I mean, you have gone to Guatemala, you said?
Yeah. No, we were going every year.
Yeah. How did you even get into doing that?
Through a mission trip, and I'm not even religious. And, we went on a mission trip with her dad. And it was crazy, life-changing. And that was in 2017. And like I said, in 2018, that's when things started to crack, when I was like, I'm going to put every penny I have into this. And that's one of the things. I was a quiet, small-town kid. And then I met her, and then she opened me up to traveling and all these different kind of things and meeting all these different kind of people, which eventually turned into like me making this choice to create this page and then do and carry it out the way we do now. For the reasons we do, she changed everything. Yeah. Alyssa, if she listens to this, she's gonna be like, "Oh my God." Alyssa is Pancakes and Protein Shakes and what it stands for.
Yeah,
I'm just a phony. I mean, when I say phony, I mean like I'm the face facilitating. Anytime, like when I say I get DMs, I'm talking to strangers all day long. So much so that I do my text message business on my DMs. It's just easier to like cross platforms and whatever. she changed everything. She is Pancakes and Protein Shakes and what it stands for, and it's all about family and love and all those other great things we talked about that I don't want to repeat 5,000 times. But I just facilitate. So I say that to everyone when they say, "Oh, thank you for doing this. That's so kind." Like when we donate to the Trevor Project, the whole LGBTQ plus community, which I didn't know I had that many followers from there, we're all like praising this. This is what I was telling you. We don't like praise each other. We do it, keep it moving. We'll do it again some other time.
Is that how she was raised?
She was raised on just pure love, and it comes out of her. Like it came onto me. Like it sucked me in. But I always say to everyone when they're like saying thank you, I'm like, yo, literally don't thank me. It's one person doing one little thing to try to make a place that they're in better than it was before I was there, right? And when I say I mean her as well. But I just facilitate. That's the quote. Don't thank me. I just facilitate.
That's why I like doing these, and why, because when I started talking to you on the phone, I was like, man, there's so much here behind the Instagram that I want to pick back at, and then to pick all that back and then see where the light switch got turned on to be doing the things that you do it's a cool story. Like, I didn't know you were in Guam, and like, not a lot of people go do stuff like that, but I feel like when you do, that is a life-changing experience when you're sleeping in something like this. And I'm sure there was some deep talks where like, man, like this is, it's easy to live here and then pretend that this is how everyone lives when it isn't the case at all.
Sure. It's not the case at all. It's not the case around the block from where I live. You know what I mean? You know how it goes. Everyone's struggling somewhere or another. And that's why like it's foolproof to act like the person you wish you had around. So as I mentioned before, that's how I carry my business. Conduct business around everyone. How I speak to people, it dictates everything. I want to be the person that I wish I had around if I ever needed something or had a business or whatever it may be. So the Guatemala thing, it really changed everything, opened everything up. But all the credit goes to Alyssa. Alyssa is Pancakes and Protein Shakes. I just facilitate.
And I'm sure she doesn't like what you said. She doesn't want any credit for any of that.
Zero credit.
Zero. Yeah.
Zero credit.
But that's what makes it special. And that's what makes it, talking to you about this and seeing how you guys, I didn't know, you don't know why people are doing the things that they do. And, you don't know if they're just doing food blog stuff. And then you see they're doing charity. But then when you sit down and talk to somebody, like I don't get the opportunity to do stuff like this. Most people don't. It's one of my favorite things about interviewing people is you have a conversation that you would have either at a bar or when you start becoming friends with someone. But to hear the whole story peeled back, how it like came from this girl that you met who was raised on love, and you guys went to Guatemala, and then like, I'm sure that changed total perspective on your life. And then you start getting a little bit of pull and influence with social media, and you're like, hey, like I can use this to do the stuff that we talked about, and we can start making changes with things. And then not to even do it for anything other than to keep doing more of it.
Sure.
It's pretty remarkable. I didn't get a lot of that off your social media. I mean, I like what you're doing, but that was the whole intriguing aspect of me wanting to interview you and that's what I like doing, is peeling back the onion and being like, hey man, where did that come from? I like telling people stories. This is a really cool one. That's why I wanted to have you down here.
Sure. And no, I appreciate the opportunity to be able to portray in a different light. And if you listen to all these different podcasts, like we said before, depending on how many cups of coffee I had on my way there,
I had so many today.
It sounds jumbled up in a different way every time, but it's the same thing. It's about helping people.
It's also really hard to explain what you're doing to people, especially when you're like, I don't know, like everyone always tells me, oh, you're doing a good job, everything's so great. And then I'm just like, I'm
just doing it.
Yes, yeah. I'm just doing it. Like, and that's why I do this. I just do this. And like, I have other opportunities coming down the road, and a couple people are like, oh, are you going to stop doing all that? And I was like, no, that's what got me to this opportunity. Like, I can't stop doing this. That's why I left my job. It's why I left everything. Like, this is what, like what we were talking about before, it's like, I want to be happy. And like, you know what I mean? Like, if this is what makes me happy, or if this is what makes you happy, it's like, you should follow that feeling and start doing more of it. And it changes your life.
Sure. 2021 needs to be the year, right? Of just that, I guess, to put in simple terms. You need to do what you love. Everyone needs to do what they love.
Especially after everything that's going on at the end of last year. It's like, I tell people all the time, it's like when you hit a bottom or you're shook or like you lose somebody and, your shoebox is emptied out. But the best part about it is when you put your shoebox back over, you can choose what to put back in it. And I feel like it's important that like people focus on being happy instead of just being angry. And, like if more people did stuff for other people, there wouldn't be a need to just be yelling about stupid shit on social media.
Right. Of course. No, I feel the same way. We're in very like hateful, divided times, and I don't know. We can have a separate podcast about all that. You know how that goes.
You can go hours on how that is.
We were on a different podcast talking about the same thing. I was like, yo, we're gonna go way down a rabbit hole that is like a whole episode by itself, And but no, we're trying to be the bright shining light in these dark times. But even before it was said dark times, we're just trying to do what makes us happy, what fulfills us.
I want to get into food just because that is a massive part of it. What was it like to be able to just walk around Philly and get the best food ever? I mean, what was it like getting your first cheesesteak, and like, what was it like to dive into that food scene? I mean, you could literally never leave Philly and you have some of the best food all over, access to everything.
No, sure. So like, we'll go from the beginning of when I started first visiting. I didn't really, like I said, research how I do now, find out what the best food was. I was going to which I do still love today. I was going to places like Green Eggs where you can get like cotton candy French toast and this and that. But now now I know where all the best of everything is, it's different. So like we'll go to Angelo's. You want the best sandwiches. You want the best pizza.
Do you think that is the best sandwiches and pizza?
It's the best sandwiches ever created, for sure.
A friend of mine took me, and I try and explain to other people, and I'm like, look, I've been going to Philly a long time. I've been to a lot of different places. I've been to the, the places that are like, it's just, hey, it's a cheesesteak. And then when I had his food, we got it. We sat out front, and me and two of my friends, it changed my perspective on the Philly food scene. I was like, this is some of the best. I think it is the best cheesesteak. I don't know about the best pizza, but they have the best food, I believe, in one building.
Sure, of course, from head to toe, they're fantastic. My cheesesteak story. You said, "What's it like to go get the best cheesesteak?" I feel like this is a story worth sharing. So I was in one of my crane classes, and I came down for the first time. I wasn't even a fan of like cheesesteaks, right? Even as I was visiting all those years, like while Alyssa was going to Temple, maybe had like 1 or 2 cheesesteaks in 2.5 years. I'm at this class in Fort Washington, finish up. I was like, you know what? I'm going to run to this place called D'Alessandro's, right? I'm going to go get a cheesesteak. Go to D'Alessandro's, had it within 30 minutes, throwing up. You know what else? I'm like, yo, I just got sick from that nasty ass meat pile that was sitting on the stove, right? And it scarred me from cheesesteaks for another like 2 years, and that was in 2017.
Oh no! So you're in Philly and you're scarred from cheesesteaks.
So like a year and a half, maybe I'd say, because then comes along this guy named Danny from Angelo's. Just got a new stove in the shop on 9th Street. This phenom from Haddonfield or whatever. Like I didn't know anything about it, right? It was just my people from Philly telling me like, "Yo, he's coming. Like this is what's good." So I follow him or whatever, and then. He like just got the grill into his new shop, not even open, not even close to being open in 2018, probably still 3 or 4 months out. And I sent a fire emoji to him making like bread or something like that. And he's like, "You want one? Come down right now." I was like, "What?" I was like, "I don't even know you." This is good too. Sidebar, because everyone's like, "Are you sponsored by Angelo's? Why do you always talk about?" Because this moment right here is why I fuck with him so much. This is why he was so special since day one. And he's like, "Come down, have one." I'm like, "What?" I was like, "I ain't coming down there and having one." It might have been, I forget what year it was. Whenever a couple months was before he opened here. 2017, November, whatever it was. I have to look on my phone, but I'm not bringing that out. November 2017, I'm pretty sure. I think so. But anyway, he's like, "Come down, try this." And I was like, all right, I'm just finishing at the gym. I was like, I could try, right? And the gym was literally like maybe.
And he wasn't open yet?
No,
Yeah.
months from opening.
It's funny looking back on it where he's at now and you being like, I don't know if I'm coming down.
Sure, right. And
best cheesesteak almost ever.
Yeah. And he was I was at the gym, and the gym was literally like 5 minutes away from the shop. I was like, I don't know. I told you I was shy when this started coming out. I was like, I don't want to come down there. We don't do freebies like all these like foodie people and shit like that. And I come down, his father-in-law is there, Faffy. He's eating a cheesesteak, and he's like, you want onions? As soon as I walk in the door, I'm like, what is this guy? Like, who is this guy? And
he's fun.
I'm like, yeah, I guess. And he's like, here you go. And it's literally like 3 minutes later, Faffy was halfway done with his. And I like to say this story is I had the first actual civilian cheesesteak in the Philadelphia shop on 9th Street because Faffy was eating his like as I got mine. And but that was it. He gave me a cheesesteak for no reason. Didn't even know who I was. He's like, yo, just come have it. He didn't give a shit about anything. You know how like down to earth and shit. If you ever talk to him, he's the most down to earth person ever. But he don't give a fuck about Instagram and this and that. He just wants to make people happy. Yep. Right. And so this stranger reached out, gave me the best bread I ever had in my fucking life. The best cheesesteak I will ever have in my life is, I don't care what anyone says. In my opinion, it is the best cheesesteak that mankind can formulate.
That's what I tell everybody.
Yep. And ever since then, I was just I felt like latched on to him, not on some fanboy shit, on some like, wow, that's some Philly hospitality shit of like a guy who just cares about his people. And ever since that, it's been tight. I got his back for everything. I'll send everyone there, and that's that. So my first cheesesteak actually started. That was my first cheesesteak that I was like, damn, this is good. And then I started going to all the other places. I gave D'Alessandro's a try again. And like when you have Angela's, you don't compare anywhere else to Angela's. Nowhere compares to Danny's cheesesteak.
I argue with people because I had someone be like, no, D'Alessandro's is better. And I'm like, well, have you had Angelo's? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, I know that I don't have to have theirs to know that Angelo's is the best. And like I said, I've been going into Philly since I was probably 16, 17, my buddy Kevin Patton, he took me down and he took me to Angelo's. And when he took me to Angelo's, I bit into it and I looked at him and I said, this is the best cheesesteak. And he goes, yeah. And he's been hunting for the best cheesesteak. And like, you know, you start getting into food and you're like, and I'm sure it was for you when you start digging in through the city, it's like you have stuff and you're not trying to be a dick, but it's like, oh, well, your bread's off. Oh, well, this is off. But the fact of what Danny does when he gets up, makes the bread, like his whole, and then even following him on social media, I see so much where it is just all about him wanting people to have the food, him caring about people. Like, and you can message him, he messages you back, you put like a fire emoji, he's LOL. I'm like, because like he does such a good job with Jared and like the other people on the Instagram, and then I'll be like, LOL, Jared this, and he's like, oh, he's crazy. Like he talks to you like a normal person who's running one of the best food spots ever, in my opinion. Yeah. And he's just interacts like how we're interacting now. And I think that's what makes his food awesome. That's what, because he doesn't care about any of the other bullshit. It's just, he just cares about the food. And when you just care about the food and you put the love into it, it changes how everything tastes. And I feel like what he does and what he puts into it it's a game changer for me. It's just, I don't know. I don't want to go anywhere else for a cheesesteak.
I know. No, absolutely.
But for you to have the first one, that's crazy. And you were shy about doing it.
Absolutely. So
what a cool story.
I was always looking for the platform to tell that story, you know, instead of just going on my story, I'd be like, oh, this guy's going to talk about Angelo's again, because sometimes I'll go there twice a week. Yeah. You know,
how close are you?
No, I live in Roxborough now. We were in East Falls, but I'm in Roxborough and they're in South Philly. But I mean, I don't care. Like, these people down here are afraid to drive. I'm like, bro, it's 3 miles. You know, it's literally it's 3.2 miles. Like, it's like 15, 20 minutes with no traffic, you know? And no, I was always actually looking for the opportunity to tell that story of why I fuck with him so much. It was that day.
Yeah, because I see you down there quite a bit.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Obviously, not now with the incident that has happened. But yeah, no, we love that. We love that. And that's what that like goes to show what I want to like wrap this in. We are saying something. I wanted to wrap it into like, I get a lot of DMs that say, oh, thank you for answering. Oh, thank you for this. I'm like, yo, we're all just humans. And I feel like when you approach things like that and you are down to earth, like he is, like we've mentioned, that starts to create this kind of bond, and people rally around that stuff. And I think that's why this page has gotten to where it's been, you know. And I need to take a special second to thank everyone who's listening. Thanks for following around on these podcasts. Thanks for following around, listening to my lectures that I give, and supporting the things that I think are important. I think when you're just down to earth with people, just like he is, I use him as an example all the time. I tell him he's a hero all the time. And people fuck with that.
Yeah.
Know? So
I think
that's what we try to do with the page. And we just try to rally people around our causes. Don't thank us. Just be human to everyone, be a good person, and that's it.
I think it's important when people talk to people like they're a person on social media. It's the best relationships I've ever built with people, or like someone will be like, hey, how did you get a hold of that guy? And I just hit him up and was like, hey man, like, do you want to come on this show? And I always try and give people back way more than what the show is. Like, it's like I have a platform, but it's like, I don't know how massive it is, and it's more of a piggyback system. But I'm like, I even said to you, like, hey man, I'll give you all the footage, all that. Like, I want people to get something out of coming on here. It isn't for a reason to be like, hey, thanks, now I'm gonna post it, tag you in it, I want your followers. Like, I want people to come up to this area and see stuff, and like, see that there are people in a small town doing things. And I don't know, it's just, I think it's important to just kind of talk to people like people instead of acting like you're bigger than you really are. And it's like, when you just open up and just stay on a human being conversation, it's really some of the best relationships I have are from meeting from strangers, from just being like, hey, like for instance, Mind Machine, like my buddy turned me on to him, and we just started talking in DMs, and I was like, oh, this guy's just treating me like a real person.
What a guy he is. He's another one down to earth.
He's so awesome.
I went into his fine food shop not too long ago when he was at what was it called? A&S. Yeah. Yep. When he was there, and I've been told by everyone, you got to go to this. He's like a deli man legend.
Yeah, he really is.
It's probably like it's not insulting, but it's probably not like giving like the right. If you're not familiar with him, dude's a food legend, right?
Yeah,
crazy pizza,
really is.
Crazy pizza, sandwiches, bread, this, everything, you name it. And when I met him, I was like, oh damn, I'm about to go in, walk in, meet this dude. I'm like, probably gonna be an asshole, but I came here, out of the way, and
yeah.
I'm
no soup for you.
Right, I pull up. He's like, yo, what's good? I'm like, all right, yeah, we good. The organic shit breeds organic shit. Just treat people good and treat people well. And like you said, I wanted to touch on what you just said about meeting people through Instagram. Like those, like I follow you, you follow me, and like we're able to breed, like I said, this organic relationship. And it's like something that I thought was crazy, like internet friends and meeting people on the internet and like getting DMs from strangers. I'll go out with any stranger, you know what I mean? And we'll kick it and go get a coffee or go get food or go get something, and just chill, walk and talk. And now like some of my, like you said, best adult friends are from Instagram.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Who I hang out with in person, text every day. Like they came through Instagram. Like when I can openly admit that when I was in Wilkes-Barre, I was like, yo, this is definitely a little weird. I ain't doing shit, bro. I'm not hanging out with this person. Yeah, right. And then I moved to Philly, hang out with these people. Now we go on trips all the time, New York, travel all over the place and eat food. It's crazy.
I love, and like I said, I have to thank my friend Kevin Patton for getting me into going to get food as a group and going into the city. And we still do it now. We did a lot more when we were kids, but now it's like when Angelo did the Mamas 2 pop-up with the porchetta. Like we went and did that.
Oh,
and
you went?
Yeah.
How was that?
Dude, it was crazy. We drove all the way down, and as soon as we got there, we couldn't find a parking spot. And we're like, fuck. And so we pull around, and a guy pulls out, and we literally pull right in the front of Mama's 2. And we're like, hell yeah. So then, Kevin knows Angelo and I know Angelo. So we go by, and one of Angelo's friends was like, yo, Mike. And I'm like, hey, because we texted him and we're like, hey, we're running late. And this was like my first pop up. And he's like, hey, it's going to be sold out, dummy. Right. I'm like, I don't go to these. So we get there. There's a line around the block, and I hear, yo, Mike. And I'm like, yo. And then out comes 2 sandwiches, and it just goes, you can sit down and eat now. And I don't get treated like that ever.
Sure.
I never got treated like that from a girlfriend. So we sit down, and it was so uncomfortable because there's like food bloggers and like people waiting, and then they're like, how is it? How is it? And I'm just like, it's good. And I'm looking at my buddy Kevin, and I'm like, this is so crazy that he just did that for us. It was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had. It is the best sandwich, and I say sandwich, not a cheesesteak, whatever. Like an actual sandwich. It's the best sandwich I ever had. And to have that experience, I told him afterwards, I gave him a hug, and we went out to a couple of restaurants that his friends had. And I said, that'll mark a specific time in my life that I will always remember, because it was like the trip. It was this, it peels back to the point when I used to go with Kevin in to get food. It wasn't always about the food. It was about the conversation and hanging out with your friends. And we used to always say, one day we're going to run our own businesses. Here now, all these years later, we are running our own businesses. We're going to get our friend's sandwich and then to get that kind of treatment. But like, that's the stuff that when I don't see people going into the city and doing that, I'm like, man, you're missing out on so much. Like, I forget all my problems when I do shit like that. Yeah. So for you to be able to be living there and to be able to do this shit and then help out other people, I think it's really cool what you're doing, man.
No, and I appreciate it. And like I said, I appreciate you having me on to talk and like preach how important it is to support local business. It's the backbone. It's the it creates the culture. It's everything. It's what we need, and especially during like a time during COVID like this, where everyone wants to hop on the train and be like, support local. Even if it wasn't COVID, you need to realize how important this restaurant is, or how important this like to that particular city or wherever it may be. This shit all matters, and everyone just needs to help support others' dreams. Yeah, and just be true to yourself and just be a kind person, giving with your time, your effort, your money, and then that gets reciprocated. Yeah. In some form or whatever it may be, whether directly or not. It's all about just putting the good shit out there, and people will catch on to that.
Yeah, and then there isn't a better way to close it than what you just said, but I also think that's super important that I hope this isn't something that does go away. Like local businesses need to be supported 100% all the time, let alone not just in a time for need. It's like these restaurants and all this stuff. And you have to also realize is that most people grow up working in a local business. And it's like, I know how the struggle is with that. And my friends own restaurants. And when all this shit happened, I was like, damn, man, like, how are they going to pull through this? But then everybody getting behind local business and local restaurants, it's like, dude, it should be like that all the time. Like, this is people who are like us who wanted to run a restaurant, or like, Danny doing his thing. It's like, these are just normal people that have dreams of doing these things. And that's what we should be supporting, not wasting our money on all this other stuff that doesn't matter. I don't know. I hope it sticks. You are more than welcome to come up here anytime. What I'd like to do is get like you and Mind Machine on maybe at the same time. We can come back and do one in a couple months and just get a couple people together and just talk food and maybe raise awareness for something that's going on. But this is an open door to you. Like I said before, you need any help, production or anything, I can help you out in any way. And you come up this way ever and want to do something, 100% the door is open. I think everything you're doing is awesome. Once we got off the phone, I was so floored to do this podcast because I knew there was a little bit more to it than what I was seeing on social media, and how selfless and how awesome the stuff that your girlfriend and you do is just hats off to you, man. And then for you to have a full-time job and do this, I didn't know you had a full-time job, because you're running this like it's right. Like it is your full-time job, which is even more. It's so awesome to hear, because you give a shit about it that much that you're putting literally all your time and energy into it. So hats off to you, man. I want you to be able to tell anybody where they can check out your page. I'll have it listed and whatnot, but you can push the merch. I'm going to drop this next Wednesday. So anything you want to put out there to kind of promote or whatnot, now's your opportunity.
Of course. We just function through Instagram, Pancakes and Protein Shakes on Instagram. The website, pancakesandproteinshakes.com. I bet you couldn't have guessed that. We just started a YouTube where we're going to be doing all different kind. I don't want to call it reviews, but we're going to be doing different kind of format things, an extension of the page, in video form, to try to give you a more well-rounded feel of what we do over on the page. So Pancakes and Protein Shakes on YouTube, Instagram, and on the website. And that's it. It's simple.
Cool. Thank you so much for making the drive up. Thank you for coming out here. If you're a first-time listener or watcher, I guess that's what you would call it, you can find everything on neveragainstudio.com. It has all the links to previous shows. It has all the apparel. It has everything we're doing. It has all the sponsors. So if you want to help out the sponsors, they're the ones who keep the lights on. And yeah, man, I'll let you get out of here. I know you got other stuff going on.
No, and I appreciate you. It means the world to be able to come on here and just kick it. You know,
No, it was a good podcast.
Cutting it up with different people. You know, and just trying to give that different perspective of what the story is instead of coming on the page and seeing the food pictures. You know, there's more than that.
It's 100% more than
that. The Block Gives Back gave me a slogan that I ride out, and we can close on this. It's more than food.
There it is. Awesome, man. Thank you.
Appreciate you. See you.